What it do, folks? What it do? James Hicks here. Another episode of Code and Commentary. Was supposed to have a guest on with me tonight. Unfortunately, they aren't able to make it, I guess. So, show is still going to go on. Show is still going to go on and probably, I guess, change now the subject matter to be more Q&A, right? To be more of a Q&A in terms of if you have questions about implementing and deploying technology around content creation, deploying technology around live streaming, podcasting, all the things, right? Productivity as well. I had a session earlier this morning with the co-founder and CEO from Morgan.so, and that was a great conversation again about leveraging and utilizing technology to help with time blocking, time management, scheduling, and things of that nature. So, hey, tell you what, I am here now that the run of show is no longer a run of show. And I want to hold that topic for when my guest is available to come back on the show so we can do that and bring value. I'm just going to open this up. I won't hold you long. I won't stay here too long as well, but just let's have a open AMA Q&A about items within your world as it relates to content creation, digital publishing, tools and platforms that you're using or evaluating. And let's walk through it together. Let's walk through it together. my guy, Rich Vibes is in the building. I appreciate you for being here, man. You troublemaker, man. You one of them rabble rousers. But hey, you're a good dude. Appreciate you for being here, sir. Hopefully you are still out there making music, doing the thing with your community, leveraging technology, doing online DJ sets and things of that. So you're actually a really good use case in terms of how to reach a community and how to share your talents with folks globally. One of these days, I would love to get you here as well to have that particular conversation. So. Again, any questions that you guys may have about how to do it, that being content creation, that being live streaming, multicasting, multi-streaming. You guys know I use a platform called eCamm Live, which is Mac centric. So it's actually an installable on your desktop. It's not web-based like a couple of the other platforms, but it is actually an installable file on your Mac environment. It's allows me to go live everywhere, all the social platforms, right? I can multi-stream to all the social platforms. I can go live to any platform that accepts an RTMP feed as well. So there are some platforms that aren't directly integrated, right? But if they select or if they accept an RTMP feed, I can go live. So that's what I'm using. And if you are interested in having a deeper conversation about eCamm Live and what I'm doing, definitely hit me up in the comments or hit me up for a consultancy session. And I would love to go deeper into kind of your use cases and where it matters to you and your community and where it would make sense. How is everyone doing? Northern California right now is where I'm at. The weather is changing. Allergies are kicking in. So I sound different because I am different right now. So there we go with that. One thing I guess I did want to talk about until some folks chime in, until somebody listen. If I'll even do this, listen. If you want to jump on the stream in and of itself and come on camera, let's do that. There's the link right there. I may be opening myself for all kind of trouble with that, but jameshicks.live/join and come on into the broadcast studio. This prevalence of AI is everywhere. Prevalence of AI in terms of getting tasks done, finding out information. There's no more volumes of an Encyclopedia Britannica all in our living room. I probably just dated myself with that statement, right? But the fact that we have the ability to leverage a large number of large learning modules, algorithms, to help us find information and to help us disseminate what's happening around us and to help us to actually share stories and things of that nature. There's pros and cons to that. I tell folks a lot of times to be cognizant of this technology, to leverage it where it makes sense, but don't let it overshadow actually doing the work. Right. So, use it as a framework, use it as a jumping off point, as a starting off point, but make sure anytime you put a prompt in, a Perplexity or a Chat GPT or Claude or any of these other ones, right? Grok. I even use Grok right now. So I see you, Elon Musk. I'm using Grok too every once in a while. But anytime you put a prompt in there and you get a result, make sure that you add kind of that, either I'm gonna say that ad lib or add that touch in terms of what is and what resonates with you as well. So don't take that for the end result that you put out to your audience and to your community. Make sure you still do the work, you still do the behind the scenes efforts to get that information right. Florence, I see you in the building. Listen, I'm flying solo tonight. I was supposed to have a guest on, but she stood me up. But that's and we were going to have a conversation. I'm going to leave that conversation for when they are available. But so I'm just sitting here finishing this cup of coffee. And when I finish this cup of coffee, I'm logging off. So y'all got me while you got me, and we just gonna do the thing. Senior, I see you, sir. I appreciate you for being here as well. Thanks a lot for your support as always, sir. One of the things so back to the AI thing, back to the AI, leveraging technology, not being afraid of technology, being able to understand and disseminate and still have your own voice. That's one thing. As it relates to, I'm going to say podcasters specifically, and finding tools to help with the workflow, finding tools to help, I guess, primarily with there are three particular aspects of podcasting that I've been thinking about lately, and podcasting again specifically, editing, transcription, and audience engagement. Those are kind of three things that I've been looking at specifically as it relates to, again, putting out content from a podcast perspective. And I started doing some research of tools that would do that. Since I'm going to be short tonight, I think I'm just going to talk about the editing piece, right? Just going to talk about the editing piece and really just want to bring to bear maybe some new and different tools that are out there. Let me move this out of the way. So again, if somebody's going to join, they'll see that link. You can come in to the studio. There's my link. Claude is an interesting learning module here. So Clout is saying the next generation AI assistant built for work and trained to be safe, accurate, and secure. That's a big statement, right? But every time that I've used it, every time that I've put it to use, and there are three categories of Claude. Let me see if I can find it for you here. Because depending on what you pay for, like always, right? Everything, it always boils down to what you pay for. So there's a haiku, there's sonnet, and there's opus. So depending on which product that you go into, if you go into the free, pro, or the team tier of Claude, it's really the value that the platform is giving you. As it says, the haiku is light and fastest model that it can execute lightweight actions with industry-leading speed. Think of something like ChatGPT 3.5. So I'm just trying to do comparisons for you guys and just to think about that. And then on the sonnet side, it says hardworking, our best combination of performance and speed for efficient, high throughput tasks. Think of GPT-4 and what's going on from that side. Opus, their most powerful, intelligent model, handles complex analysis, longer tasks, and multiple steps, and higher order math and coding tasks. Again, that's a really specific use case that I don't think as many. You may want it, but you don't need it. Let me put it that way, right? We always want the shiny car, we always want the Ferrari when really all you need is Porsche or something like that. That's a bad analogy, but let's just go along that path, right? So more complex, mathematical, scientific, kind of really deep in the weeds types of 301, 401 level complex types of computations and things of that nature. That makes sense. And to have that accessibility and to have that availability at $20 per month for someone that claims and positions themselves as being the most secure, the most accurate, the most up to date, give it a shot if that's something that resonates with you and that's something that you need. But I'm more of a sonnet user from a Claude perspective. So best combination of performance and speed, allowing me to put in a prompt and say, I want to write or I want to talk about X, Y, and Z particular topic. And I've had some really thorough and in-depth results that have come out. You know, I'll put it in each of the models. I put it in Perplexity, I put it in ChatGPT, and I put it in Claude. And it's been really good to see how thorough it has been in terms of identifying scripts, hook, an opening line, call to actions, and things of that nature. So I wanted to put that out there as something that folks could take a look at. JJSC Tech, massive statement. What's going on with you? Appreciate you for being here. What are the thoughts on trying tools and avoiding doing the necessary work? Oh my goodness. See, I told y'all wasn't going to be long. But let me think about that. So what are my thoughts on trying these tools and avoiding doing the necessary work? Okay. Again, we don't have a run of show. I'm just over here ad-libbing, going off the dome. You're selling yourself short, in my opinion, if you do that. If you go out and spend all of your hard-earned revenue, all your hard-earned capital, and you go out there and find all of these resources to try to make your job, life easier and better. But if you don't RTFM, if you don't read the manual, if you don't understand what it is you're actually looking to do, what that goal is, what your actual purpose is, if you're just looking to try to find something to help you build a viral piece of content or something to ride a particular trend, and you want to find the easy button to push, it's not sustainable from my perspective. Again, I think you have to really continue to lock in on what is your rationale, your reason, your why, your intentionality for, since we're talking to creators and things of that nature, for going live, for turning on these lights, for pressing record, and for reaching out to folks. If it's just to get clicks, if it's just to get attention, if it's just to get likes, if it's just to get subscribers, that's the wrong reason. And that from my perspective, is very short-lived. Right. A lot of us that are in this community that I know are really looking to bring some value, bring some type of insight. We know something about something and are wanting to share that unapologetically, unselfishly, to help the next person progress and get better at what it is that they do. So that's my long-winded answer to that. Again, I've been drinking coffee all day and it's almost 6 o'clock at night. So you never know what you're going to get out of me. Nothing lasts long with shortcuts. There it is right there. Nothing lasts long with shortcuts. And plus, none of this is a sprint. It's all a marathon. Meaning that I'll use the basketball analogy, right? I'll use the Joel Embiid analogy. You have to respect this process. You've got to fall down. You got to get back up. You got to get knocked down. And then you got to know how to get back up. You've got to go through kind of some of the hard lessons and the experiences to be able to tell the next person coming up, maybe avoid this and go this route, or I've tried this and this didn't work for me. So here are some gotchas to keep a lookout for. That's where you gain credibility, right? And that's where you really start to gain the trust factor as well. That's when you start being recognized as a trusted advisor within your community. So Good questions, y'all. Appreciate you. Listen, I just, again, fired up these lights and said I was going to go live. My guest didn't show up. Man, it's embarrassing. Maybe I should be drinking more than just coffee right now. All right. Talked about Claude, which was a cool product, cool platform, again, for putting in prompts, putting in information, and being able to serve up ease of editing. Because again, I want to go back just to this topic of being able to using AI to improve process flows for podcasters. One being, again, helping with editing. That was Claude. I've been taking a look at another platform, and this one right here, Alito. Is that right? Is that how you say it? I don't even know how you say it right, but I've been checking it out. And the reason that I like this Alley 2, maybe I'll cut this up as a clip because I can't even pronounce the word right, so I should be ashamed of myself, right? What I like about this product and what I've looked at is it allows you to do so many things at a high level, all within the same platform. As you see, it allows you to edit, record, build, do the audio cleanup piece. That's huge for us, right? That being able to take out the background noise, be able to clean up some of the ums and the ahs, and be able to take out pauses and silences and things of that nature. So being able to do that piece is actually really cool. Being able to transcribe your session, that right there is big, because it's not only your podcast that you put out there, either audio or video format, but do not forget the newsletter. Do not forget the blog post, right? And the SEO value that comes from actually having the written word out there, because folks can actually do a search, a Google search, and or a YouTube search, and find context and find the content and the information that you shared, and be able to reach you from multiple locations and multiple different types of platforms. So I like the fact that Alley 2, that's what I'm going to call it. Alley 2 allows you to do all of those things and also have a website, right? So again, also have the website for the hosting of your podcast. So again, one-stop shop for all of your community and for your users to go to your one centralized location. So you're not sending them to multiple links. You can send them to one particular location. You can have your blog, you can have your podcast, you can have the all the information there from one particular location, and that. So I was liking that. Pricing was about average for, you think about, for all those services combined and those quality services combined. So round it up, $40 a month, right? To be able to have unlimited audio recording, which the key thing right there is unlimited, and the fact that you can also do group recording with up to 10 people. That's a big thing as well, right? So you have that unlimited AI audio cleanup, background noise removal, that background hum removal that I was talking about, auto leveling, and then the loudness control. That in and of itself right there is a lot of the effort, because people will stay around if your video is terrible. Maybe not terrible. If your video is bad, not great. But people will immediately sign off and leave if your audio is bad, right? If they can't hear you, if they can't digest that. A lot of times I consume podcasts actually at the gym and don't have any video, just listening to it in my ears in the audio piece. So if the audio is bad, that right there is a complete turn off, and that right there represents you as a brand as well, and could cost you subscribers, could cost you brand partnerships, or whatever the case may be. So the fact that this platform has unlimited AI audio cleanup, allowing you to level up that audio. You don't have to have all the fancy mics and the audio mixers and all of that stuff. So you can actually use the platform to level up that audio output. Very cool stuff. Audio editing. Chop out mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes, so that's pretty cool. Split and range your clips. Add the tags. Add smooth fades between segments. Very cool right there. free hosting up to 1,000 downloads per month. Now, 1,000 downloads is actually a lot. When you think about it, everyone wants to be in the high numbers on the Apple, on the Spotify, on the Google, on who else? Who's the other big ones? On all the podcast platforms, want to be the most listened to and things like that. But it takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of time as well to get to those points. If you've got 1,000 people downloading your podcast every single month, one, you've got a nice community. Two, you should be monetized in some form or fashion. You're getting recognition from brands, so you're able to actually finance and actually monetize other aspects of your business and of your content creation journey. So that's actually a number that is admirable. And again, for the price, $38 per month, to have all of that functionality in one location is really something to be considered, something that, looking at it, they're giving it less than $2 a day. That's less than the price of my coffee. Man, paying, right at my heartstrings right there. Less than my coffee, because I do drink a fancy coffee. Kevin Cox, where you been, man? Good to see you, brother. Good to see. Appreciate you for being here. Yeah, listen, 1,000 is a lot. 1,000 is a lot. When Jack and I were doing podcasts regularly for 1.5 years, we were at around 300 to 500 per episode. And you guys have folks watching, paying attention at that 300 and 500 per episode number, meaning you have brands looking at you. You have opportunities coming and knocking on your door. Got email relationships happening again at that 300 and 500 download per month rate, because you're consistent. At that time, you guys were consistent, right? You were continuing to do it. So a brand will look at that and say, let's check out what Mr. Cox is doing over there with their podcast. They've got an audience. They've got a community that's actually locked in on what they're saying. So let's support, contribute, help with finance, help with whatever the case may be, with some types of relationships. So again, the numbers really matter less when you think about it. It's being consistent in the delivery and consistent in the message to your community. That's one thing out of all this rambling that I'm doing, that hopefully you take away, that the consistency in delivery of the message. That's why, again, my guest did show up tonight. I told everyone that I was going to be live. I see a lot of folks that are watching and listening right now. Shouts out to the audience on Twitter. I see, appreciate y'all. And now, again, I will always call it Twitter. I'll never call it X. So appreciate y'all for being here. But I'm going to go live because I committed to the community to go live at this particular time on this particular day. So, yeah, man, get back at it, man. Come on. Get back at it. This is your year, 2024. Get back out here in these digital content creating streets. Let me pull this down, because just in case, I'm not sure if anyone's going to come online and hang out with me. Another tool, I always like to give 3 recommendations of 3. So started with Claude as an AI assistant to help with formulating ideas and setting up that framework. Alidu, man, I gotta get that name right. Hopefully that's how you say it. Alidu is being the consolidated platform for all the things: recording, editing, publishing, distribution, and that's about it. Recording, editing, cleaning up, hosting, all that stuff. Hold on, royalty-free music too? Man, hey, anybody got a affiliate code for them? I may have to sign up for these folks this weekend. But another platform that I've used, and that I know a lot of folks use as well, is Descript. Now, me and Descript, however you want to say it, we have an interesting relationship. I think they are one of the best platforms. Let me say that. I will say this. I think Descript is one of the best platforms for creating content of any form, audio and video, and for manipulating that content in any way that you need to. The challenge I think that I have with Descript is that they try to do a whole lot. They try to do a whole lot in one particular platform, and they don't specialize on doing any of those one things really exceptionally well. It's not necessarily a knock. It's just an observation. Again, from my perspective, who am I? Listen, I'm just that guy here going live right now. I'm just telling you what I've seen from my multiple times of trying to use the platform. But the reason that I still have it up on the screen is because it works for those who want to go and record, who want to go in and actually maybe even clone their voice, because they have an option to actually clone your voice. They have options they have probably the best editor for audio. So that may be their one magic bullet right there. Their audio cleanup and their audio editing right there. But they've added in some different types of functionality for creating audiograms, for creating micro content clips and things of that nature. And we expect so much from all of these platforms, especially these leaders here. So like a Descript or even like a Riverside.fm, that when they miss the mark even slightly, we start criticizing. We start doing the Monday morning quarterback, and I'm guilty of it because I'm doing it right now. But Descript is actually a decent program. I like the fact also that there's an integration directly with that encoder that I use with eCamm Live. So I can actually take this piece of content when I'm done recording, and there's an option directly within eCamm to ship it over to Descript and let Descript do its AI magic, clean up all the ums, clean up all the ahs. If there's a word that I meant to say, I can use the overdub feature, and it's an AI generated version of my voice that works really good. I've used it many times before, so I can do all of that. And the fact that that's integrated into, again, the encoder that I use, I think that's really cool. But I haven't looked at them in a little bit. I haven't looked at them since they acquired the podcasting arm. What was the name of that team that they bought? Was it? Let me see here. Let's see what this is. See if they've gotten better. Do an online demo. Okay. Someone just showed up in the comments, and I was literally kind of holding my breath behind the scenes, just waiting to see. Squadcast was the name of that other day. So Chris, I was literally holding my breath to see if you would show up, because I saw that you did a piece about Descript, and I've always been such a what have I been? I've always been such a very openly criticizing customer of them, because I expect so much from them. Even though I'm no longer actually still a active subscriber, but I still recommend Descript to folks. And the fact that when they brought in Squadcast, it just seemed like they were trying to take over the world, and eventually they will. I think eventually they will. Riverside has got some interesting tools and functionality within the platform, like the localized recording, right, for each participant, how you can record on both sides. But Descript has, kind of like I was saying, it's a pro and con. It's kind of their Achilles heel. The fact that they do so much within the platform. They do the overdub, they do the transcription, they do the audiograms, they do the long form content into micro content, right? They do all of that stuff. It's hard to not look at them. It's hard to look at them and say no, right? They're kind of like the cute girl at the dance, where you got to go at least check them out. You got to at least go and say hi. That's an interesting analogy. Never use that. Okay. But that being said, man, if there is tool that you're looking for, again, I'm talking specifically about editing podcasts tonight, as opposed to getting into some of the other things. But this particular tool, Descript, is one of them. So I talked to Claude, I talked to Alito, and now I'm on Descript. Descript does all of that functionality at a really high professional output. Actually, everything comes out in 4K, as you can see right here. So you actually do all your recordings and it comes out in 4K, as opposed to like some other platforms are still doing 720 as their highest resolution. It's crazy. 720 and 1080. But we typically stream in at least 2K. And if you're going to watch it on the big 60-inch TVs or something like I got behind me, we're going to be streaming in 4K, and we want that deep resolution. We want that high dynamic range. We want all of those things. So a lot of times you'll see a lot of creators, especially recorded content, live content, that'll be in 1080 or 2K. But a recorded video, if I had recorded this ahead of time and not been live, it would have been in 4K. And I could have put that into the script, and I could have done all of that editing. I could have done all of that create editing of the sound as well. So moving out all the ums, moving out all the ahs, getting rid of all of the background noise, overdubbing, like I was saying, if I say a word incorrectly, I can go in afterwards and put in the right word, and it actually is my AI generated voice. That's all within that platform. On pricing perspective, well, let's not do annual. I typically do annual, but let's look at real numbers. Let's look at it from a monthly perspective. You got to go pro. You got to go pro. Sorry. Right. Creator's okay. Creator gets the job done. Let's not even talk about free. You guys know I typically say people pay attention to what they pay for. So if you're getting it for free, you're not really, you're not supporting the effort for development. There's no skin in the game. But the one reason in particular that I say go with pro over creator is, let's see if it's still, yeah, there it is right there. The export and publishing. Again, 1080 is okay, but to be able to export and publish up to 4K, and for those video duration times to be longer than an hour, a lot of times I'll go live for longer than 60 minutes, and to be able to have up to 3 hours at 4K resolution for $30 a month. That's just a couple of more lattes that I have to miss out on, but that it's worth that, or bring in a deal, bring in an opportunity, bring in a brand partnership or relationship that'll help pay for that. That's really the secret sauce too, folks, that I'm not sure a lot of folks are telling you, but that's how we kind of pay for these things, by one, bringing the value to you, the community, and by working with the brands and working with and having those relationships with the camera manufacturers, the microphone manufacturers, the light manufacturers, and feeding that back into the business so we can continue to evolve and continue to elevate the tools within our toolkits to bring you the best thing. Miss Garcia, I hear you writing a book. I couldn't even say, hey, put the link in there. This lady is writing another book. What's up with you now? Writing another. These are the folks that I'm hanging out with, folks. I got authors. I got big time entrepreneurs. I got them kind of folks in the community. Stephanie up in here, writing books and things like that. So that's the kind of folks that I'm hanging out with. She checked me. Oh Lord, I'm on LinkedIn. I better make sure I'm not saying anything. I forgot I was streaming on LinkedIn too. My guest did show up, and I forgot that I set this to go live to so many different locations. So let's make sure that I don't say anything too crazy now that I'm on LinkedIn. Oh my gosh. Boom, look at that. So that's an interesting thing there too. You can put your link in LinkedIn, but you can't put it in YouTube right now. I'm gonna change that to make sure that you're fancy. and you can add links to my stream on YouTube. That's an interesting thing right there. I gotta check that out. And Chris, I'm not hating, brother. I'm not. I just in these past 2 weeks, I would say this. In these past 2 weeks, I have told a handful of companies when their baby is ugly. I've had that conversation with a handful of companies and said, listen, you're doing some things, and you could be doing better. You could be bringing more value, and it's cost me some relationships. It actually has cost me some relationships with some of these brands that I've been working with for a long time. But a couple of the others that I've said that to appreciated the honesty, the unbiased statement, and the fact that I'm not just being a yes person, that kind of thing. So, of course, I'm not just being rude when I say that. I give positive and constructive insights and feedback, but I don't know. I've been in this world, in this IT world, for goodness, 4 decades. So the skin is pretty calloused, and the skin is pretty thick right now. Chris, jump in, brother. I put the link to the studio. You know the link. Come on, you know how to get into the front door. Come on, man. I told folks I wasn't gonna be here long because I'm almost done with this cup of coffee, and when I'm done with that, then I gotta go. But come on in if you want to, man. That is true too. Didn't realize that. So okay, that's interesting because there has been for a long time eCamm was not able to pull in links or comments. No, no, it's Restream. Restream is doing it. Yeah, that's why, Steph. Yeah, because I'm going through Restream, so Restream is pulling in the comments. Man, I almost gave Ken and Glenn another bit of kudos there. I know that they've been doing a whole lot of work with the Zoom integration and all that, but no, it doesn't look like LinkedIn and eCamm comments still work directly. So yeah, that's coming in through Restream. Man, we thought we had found a little Easter egg in the platform. I'm waiting on you, Chris. Come on, man. You see the link, brother? Come through. You better come on before I log off. Again, I'm just here rambling, taking a little time. I saw a couple of other questions. Flo, did I answer all your questions? Because they probably flew by. I wasn't paying attention, or I was looking at what's going on with the game, because squirrel moments tend to happen with me a lot, and you know I never remember what's going on. Yeah. So, from my understanding, third person looking in, what I've been told and what I've heard, the requests have been submitted to LinkedIn from eCamm to allow for that full on integration. They eCamm, Ken, Glenn, and the team there are just waiting for a response from Microsoft/LinkedIn to allow that API access for comments. Um, I believe all of the coding, all of the work on the eCamm side is done. It's just again allowing that access through the API from Microsoft/LinkedIn, because Microsoft owns LinkedIn, so that's why I say that. But all of that, the requests have been in. From what I hear, Katie has been trying to get in contact with the folks at LinkedIn to finish this and actually check mark this and say that we have this functionality, this capability. So I believe the coding is all done. On Ken and Glenn's side, we're just waiting for LinkedIn to allow this new third-party encoder to have direct access to the API to push comments. So until that happens, that's why a number of us are still using something like a Restream to bring in that commentary. So community members on that platform can engage and interact with the full stream. So think out loud, brother. That's all right. That's what we do around here. Need to focus on LinkedIn Live, not some new. Oh, you out there? Okay, she said she needs to focus on LinkedIn Live, not some new Shorts tab. Man, you just throwing haymakers out there already, right? No video tabs. Stop worrying about adding video tabs. Instead, focus on this right here. Focus on bringing it in LinkedIn Live. I want to have the question, and I believe so. Stephanie, this is an interesting question along those lines. For the Technologist Forum, it's supposed to be this Saturday, if I remember. The value and the difference between creator mode on personal profiles and org pages. Because if I'm on LinkedIn right now, and now I remember, I don't go live on my personal profile. I go live on my org page. And value of that and the marketing of that, I don't like to go live on the personal profile because it sends out that notification to everyone, and I don't like to necessarily flood the market with a whole bunch of text messages, things like that. So I like to be very intentional in terms of, if you subscribe to me on my org page, then you are coming to me for specific pieces of content, and you actually want to hear these messages. So when I go live on the org page, it doesn't blow up all the other 3, 4, 5,000, however many people that I have that are following me on LinkedIn, right? So Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Stephanie, if you're not too busy, let's have that conversation. Look at this guy that is coming. Oh my gosh. Got hecklers in the back room here now. Hecklers in the back room. Oh, that is not David too. See,
No.
that was the last guy I talked to. Let me
Yeah,
take
that's
that
I
name.
deserve that. I deserve that.
Dr. Stone, what's happening with you, man?
What here
See,
I was.
I start talking bad about Descript, and then you come on, right?
Yeah, here I was ready to go for my evening run,
Running
and
another
this
marathon.
man gets on and just starts just raining blows on Descript Live, just haymakers. You got to watch for the hook when James goes on by himself. You got to watch for the hook, man.
That's true. That's true. You never know what I'm. See, I'm much more methodical, and I'm much more like in line when I have a guest on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I don't know if you
up a
like
little
saw
bit.
like earlier today. I had Morgan's CEO and co-founder, but when it's just me, I said you never know what you can get.
That's true. That's true. That's why I'm jumping out. I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you from.
I am no longer. Well, maybe that's why I'm no longer financially tied to some of these organizations because
Right.
I'm not.
Well, that's the thing now, right? Because creators are calling people out a little bit, calling products out, calling some of these things out, and I don't know. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? But I think a lot of people trust people like yourself for that, like you talk about that extra 10% that you put in because you're testing this stuff out, and if you just say everything's awesome, people are going to be like, "Well, James said that was awesome."
Yeah,
and that's not so awesome. But like I think sometimes it's like, something people are telling me, like some of the software that I can't stand and I just can't get to work. It just doesn't work for me. For them, they love it. And listen, that's cool. If that gets you going, then that's great. And for Descript, that gets me going. Right. And so that for me is like, okay, now this gives me something I can work with. These are the ingredients I need to make what I can envision. And so it works for me. For other people, like you had mentioned, it's like, listen, you guys are just trying to be everything.
yeah.
But I will say this, I don't exclusively use Descript for everything. I just don't. Because I know that there's some things it can't do. Like I need a more robust audio editor when I do stuff. So I have to port it out, and when I want to make
like
some other
or something like that. Okay.
Alphonic, yeah, but I like to use a DAW like Logic to where I can use some compression. I can dial some things in that I want to do. And is it a little much? Probably, but that's that's my perfectionism.
Says the guy who used to work at Sony. So we got to put Stone on a whole nother plateau, right? When he starts talking about some of these tools,
that's when we were still making 8 tracks. So don't worry about it.
That's good stuff. So let me ask you this. So maybe that was my use case, and that was
Hmm.
my bad, right? Because again, I saw so much within the script, and it did so well. Again, I'm not talking negatively about it. It's just I
Oh, I
found some
get
other
it.
tools that do what it is that I want to do, and I always talk to the team on in their Discord channel and on when they go live, things like that, to not not influence in, because I hate the word influence, but to advocate into some of the development.
Right.
What do you use it for? Is it the audio piece, the audiogram piece? You say you don't use it for the audio cleanup, but is it the audiogram piece? Is it the long form, the short form? Is it
Hmm.
the isolated recordings? Is it bringing in that overdub? What specific pieces of that platform? Because I think there's a lot of concern and question about
Yeah.
what is Descript, because it is such a big thing, and I just want to hone in on that right now before I go into some of these other
Yeah.
comments that are coming in.
Yeah, it's a great, I love that you set it up like that because for me, I'm a very specific type of creator. I create for other people. I
Mhm.
create for myself, but I create for other people. So I need something that is a little more of a Swiss Army knife, but does particular things very well. And it really does a great job of taking the video and transcribing it and you being able to edit actually the words and it will alter the video for you. Now, at first I didn't get it because I was like, oh, listen, like when you cut the uhs, it's gonna look choppy. Because if I
Yeah.
say Chris James and I move my head, it's gonna say Chris, and then my head's gonna go like this. And so that edit is weird. But when you're doing social video, when you're doing stuff that's vertical and you're doing edits, stuff like that's not a big deal at all. And so that's primarily what I use it for is taking long form video and creating vertical videos, a lot like what, I mean, you do a ton of this as well. And then I could take it and say, well, I just don't want it to look like everybody else's. So with the
Yes.
script, I can take it and I can say, aha, now I can take, I put my captions with my fonts, my hex codes. I know you know that hex code, and your hex code is
Bruh,
James.
20557B. Don't mess with me, man. Listen.
No, even though
Don't.
you're solo, you got that hex. You got that hex.
I know my. Okay, see, there we go. That is who I am. And
Yeah, and so you can specialize it, and you can get kind of crazy. You can start pulling in like gifs or gifs, whatever you want to call them. You could start pulling in some stuff, and you're like, all of a sudden you got some, and it's not that hard to. And it was like, boy, it used to take me hours to do what you can do in Descript in like 15 minutes, and so that's primarily what I use it for. I don't use it to just edit my audio. If I did, it's just not you just can't get it. You can't dial it in perfectly. And I don't think it's meant to do that. It's meant for people to go, oh, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. We had this conversation with Kirk Nugent and Walt Jeanette, and it was about, because he was like, what's the best CRM that you can use but also has courses?
mm,
And Kirk is a big Kajabi
mhm.
guy, and Walt was talking about ConvertKit and everything. I was finally like, listen, guys, pick the best CRM system and then pick the best system for your courses and then pick the best podcast host. And you may get one that does the best for two of those. Don't worry about paying for two or three things if you're getting the best of what works for you. And I think there's too many Swiss Army knives. There's too many, like you said, Descript is, it can do 17 different things, but I think it does two or three things incredibly well, and that's what I use it for. But the other stuff it does, I don't use it for it.
Okay. That I appreciate that, and see that conversation. I wonder if enough coaches, subject matter experts, consultants are have the
Advocates.
advocates. They have the courage to actually say that, right? Because again, a lot of times, and I'm not saying anyone here is, but a lot of times folks could be in the pockets of some of these brands, some of these organizations, and
Sure.
not be willing to actually say these are the pros, the cons, limitations. These are the things that really work well, really work good, and understand what your use case is.
Yeah.
for these particular tools, platforms, and resources, things of that nature, and then put them to use. So I applaud you. I'm giving you some flowers there, Dr. Stone. I'm giving
Well,
you
I'm
some
not.
late night flowers
Thank you for the flowers, sir. I accept
for
your
being
flowers,
upfront and honest, right? This is
but I
like
think
counseling.
thank you. I'm on your couch, but I think some of it has to do with the fact that because I'm in the situation where I have clients, I can't say I can't be in bed with one particular type of software company and say, okay, I'm exclusive with this company. And the reason why is because if a client comes to me and says, I need a show that does this and this and this, I say yes, because that's what I do. I serve the client. And I
Yeah.
can't say, well, I can't do that because I'm exclusive with this company and they don't do that. That's not how, that doesn't work for me. It's my company. And so I serve my client. And if my client comes to me and says, I want to do a show and it's this, I say yes. And I work to cobble together 16 different pieces of software to get it done. And then people that come to me and say, what's the best for this? I can honestly tell them, and they believe and trust me because it wasn't because that company paid me to say it.
Man of integrity right there, Dr. Chris Stone. Hang out for a minute, man, because there's some comments here that I want to bring you
I
in
see.
on.
I see Stephanie.
Yeah,
I see the newest author on the block here with some comments. She brought up Munch. Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
think Munch is still around.
I'll get to that one. Hold on. I'll get to that
Okay.
one. And you see how them authors be. They walk a little more straight up. I love that. But I saw this name here. Ravens Talk with Yolanda. Shout out to them Ravens out there. You ought to
okay.
come check
Baltimore.
out. I'm a Steelers guy, but
Lions for me.
yeah.
The Ravens
Well,
kill
I
the
know.
Lions.
We can still talk to these Ravens fans.
Sure.
He says, when using eCamm to live stream to YouTube, are viewers required to grant access to eCamm in order to comment, such as is required when using eCamm to live stream to Facebook groups? That's a great question. And the answer to that is no. So to YouTube, you do not have to grant access to any of for your users to show up and actually have their name. So, yeah, there's none of that requirement.
Yeah, I know where this is going now. Dr. Fuse today or yesterday was working on doing a Zoom into a Facebook group because somebody was all over him. And I was like, oh, are you doing the eCamm Zoom integration? Is that what you're doing? And we start to talk. And he said that, well, no, someone was asking me about doing Zoom into Facebook groups. And I was like, oh, you had to jump through like 3 hoops to do that. And I was like, why don't you just tell them to port their group to YouTube? Can we do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
done.
Seriously.
Done.
I mean,
that's the way to go.
Create your community in YouTube. And I'm sorry that you've created a community at Facebook group, but I mean, the sand is eroding. The sand is eroding, people. The sand is eroding. Get off the rented land. And I know YouTube is rented land, but you can create communities there. But you got to start putting content there. I mean, am I wrong, James? I mean, look at the community here tonight.
I don't even know if I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook.
You're on YouTube.
I mean, no, I don't know if I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
I just go there and like a voyeur, right? And then check on the family, make sure they're all right. But
Mom, Dad, are you on?
Yeah, y'all all right? I know. See, Dad's watching right now. You good, man? I know when he goes fishing because he posts. He checks in. I just make sure. I know when my mom goes out of town to a church meeting. Okay, everybody's good. But business wise, and again, I'm probably going to catch heck for this multicasting, multi-streaming. I go where the audience and where the community is. My community lives on YouTube, and my community lives on Twitter. I am growing that base on LinkedIn, which is why I'm in those 3 locations, but primarily YouTube, primarily Twitter, and I'll never call it X. I'll always call it Twitter, and LinkedIn, where Stephanie is hanging out over there with the fancy people. Well, that's where the authors hang out.
Let me ask you this, James, because you are a person that has built a community, but you also surround yourself with people who have built communities on multiple platforms. Yeah. Talk about it, what you think about, like right now you've got like I was on LinkedIn initially. I jumped over to YouTube. You want to know why I jumped over to YouTube? Because that's where most of your community is. And so if I'm going to start chatting and Dan's in the chat and Stephanie's in the chat and these people, I know they're there. And so
Mm-hmm.
why does everyone feel like they've got to go live in 8 places? Because you're hoping somebody might catch it, right?
Man, we don't have enough time to go down that
Right?
but segmenting your community is not a good decision to make.
Mm.
You can't boil the ocean. And this is my reason. You cannot boil the ocean, and people expect to consume content on each of those platforms in a different way.
Yep.
YouTube expects me, my community on YouTube expects me to go 30, 60, 90 minutes, to ramble on, be very verbose, to do what I do and just talk crazy, or what expects me to be very elongated in my commentary and what I do. Something like a TikTok, or going live on Instagram, or going live on, I don't know, some of the other platforms, maybe a vertical platform. That's 30, 60, 90 seconds. That's those quick chops, those quick hits, swipe left, swipe right. Again, give me the hook, give me a call to action, give me an answer, that kind of thing. So again, consuming content on multiple platforms the exact same way really does, in my mind, in my opinion, and from my research and my testing, does not resonate very well.
Mm.
The folks on Facebook that I have, again, mainly family, friends, acquaintances, and things of that nature, they aren't necessarily my customers.
Yeah.
I'm not going live just to go live. All right. We out here going live because we looking for, because we looking for checks, deposits,
Yeah.
invoices, and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
I can be doing some other things. My wife's actually waiting for me right now. We can ready to go eat, right? So, but the reason that we go live is different for different folks, and my rationale for going live on specific platforms is because I want to meet my community where they are. I don't want to try to put a square hole into a round, what is it, round peg into a square hole, that kind of thing, one of those fancy analogies.
Square peg through a round hole.
I'm trying to make it as easy for folks who are as blue collar as me. Yeah. Right. I'm just a blue collar dude.
Hey.
Very simple to go get it. My link to get online is jameshicks.live/join. Very easy. My website, Hicks New Media, right? Just very simple, easy to get to, consume, and share, and do all of that stuff. So if I had to do that to all these different platforms, and I would have 2 people over here, 5 people over there, 20 people over there, and one, they wouldn't know each other. And that's not the community that I'm trying to build and foster.
Yep.
So again, long answer short, but that's the reason why.
Oh, that's it. That's exactly it. But again, it's like the other side of that is, because, Facebook's not allowing you to go into Facebook groups right now. What if YouTube they won't, but they just decide, you know what, we're not doing live video anymore, or we're going to do something that keeps third party like something that is a devastating thing to creators. Like, what are you going to do then? Right. I think you always have to, and Jim and I did this as it relates to Amazon. I mean, it's no secret right now, the Amazon influencer program is, it's certainly not dead, but it's not the way it was a year ago. I can promise you that. Yeah. And so do you think that Jim and I are, jumping out windows? Absolutely not. You create, you create multiple streams of revenue, but you have to be smart about the places that your community is as well. And at any point in time, you control your email list, you control, what's going on your website, the platforms that you create, your course content, that stuff that you control. But at some point you're like, okay, what happens if YouTube decides that I get booted off, or, all of those things you have to, that you're kind of not in control of. You have to,
and we've seen a lot of our colleagues fall into that, right? Yeah. Again, either no fault of their own, or again, from our third person looking in, no fault of their own, but have lost their channels, or have been locked out of their own channels, have had it hacked, stolen, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I really like what you said about having multiple streams as well. I can't put all the eggs in Reddit land. I can't put all my
Yeah.
eggs over here because it's doing well today. I've got to, as a business owner and as to be business minds, as an entrepreneur, not just as someone out here trying to do this only
Mhm.
for fun. Not saying it's doing it just for fun is bad, but
No.
man, you got to have insurance. You got to have a contingency
Sure.
plan. You got to think short, mid, and long term. What if,
Well,
like you
yeah,
say, what if, yeah,
revenue wise, and like to your earlier point, your community. Like
yeah,
if you're building this community on, around YouTube, what's going to happen if you can't do it anymore? Do they know where to go? Do they care? Right? And so you have to create these other, and I'm not saying usurp everybody right now and pull them out and put them into some other place. I'm just
yeah.
saying, you got to be smart about being all in on something or not. What was it that happened the other day? And something went down. Was it Instagram or something went down for like, I don't know, a couple of hours, and people lost millions and millions of dollars. I was like, man, I don't ever want to be in that boat.
I
I
don't
don't
want to be
ever
that
want to
big.
be in a boat where I'm contingent upon like
Yeah,
AWS. If they go down for 45 minutes, I'm bankrupt. I mean, come on. I mean, we gotta.
dude. And a high percentage of internet, especially SaaS platforms, run in Amazon Web Services. And anytime Amazon goes down, if AWS goes down, you lose access to a lot of stuff immediately, and there's nothing you can do until those servers are
That's a
repatched,
lot of
rebooted,
power.
whatever the case may be, and it's devastating. It's
That's a
devastating.
lot of power, man. That's a lot of power. I wouldn't want to
Jeff
be
Bezos
working.
got a whole lot of power right there, right?
That's too much, man. That's why we'll go back to pen and paper and licking stamps if that's the case, man. We got 8 tracks.
I love it. All right, let's ask. Let me ask you about this because she's typed it in here a couple of times. What's the deal with Munch, man? You got beef with Munch? Huh?
We were on
You got beef with Munch?
Stephanie's show, and we
Yeah,
were talking about repurposing content. Jim and I,
yeah.
for Dealcasters, and we were on. It was, I think it was before a Leap event on
Mm,
live selling, and we were on her show, and she was talking about some. And you and I, you're the same way, James. We test out all of the things, whether it's
yeah.
Marky or Cast Magic or all of these things, and I just thought that was the new thing that I started. I signed up for a free trial, I don't know, a couple days before the interview. And I gave it a whirl for a minute, and it was called Munch. And I don't know why. It was just like, we just thought that was the funniest thing. And we just kept on talking about Munch, and it just became like the punchline. Munch became the punchline of the show. Is this it right here? Get Munch, I think it
This is
is.
it, man. This is it.
Yes. Yes. And it's not bad. I mean, it's no Opus, but it wasn't bad. There's a lot of these programs, man. There's a lot of these. Um, if it doesn't have enough versatility with it, I lose interest. And if the versatility isn't intuitive, so in other words, like what you're doing with Opus, I mean,
Yeah.
and you've been working with them for a while, since the onset. So you've kind of had a sneak peek on how to do it really well. But I think there's a lot of people that are just slapping their content out there and just firing it out the back end of the hose, and putting it on the internet, and just not, they're not doing what you talk about, rising above the noise. And so there's a lot of programs out there that are doing it. And then there's a lot of programs that were doing something else that are just cobbling it on to their existing
Mm,
thing, like you're talking about. Right. And it's sort of like, boy, how is that ever going to be good? It just isn't. It just can't be. If someone like
and
Opus
it's
has
not
been doing
sustainable.
exactly this for years, and if Opus just decided to do, audio podcast editing, would you trust it? Maybe not initially. I mean, the
Yeah.
company is great, so you probably would say, okay, let's, they're probably not going to do something, but like StreamYard, eCamm, these companies, when they do something, man, that thing is tested. It's betaed. It is like, and before that thing rolls out, you just know it's going to work.
Hmm. Hmm.
You trust it. You just trust when the Zoom integration happened with eCamm, you knew it was gonna work. You just knew it. I mean, there's been a couple of things, but then like the beta, just like every time I open up my eCamm beta, there's a new update, and so that's why it's in. But these companies, they specialize in not many things, just one thing that they do incredibly well, and then you just end up trusting.
Let me ask this: you just mentioned some other encoders, and I know at least you used StreamYard as well in the past. I don't know if you still use it or not.
Sure.
But the acquisition now from Bending Spoons, Dan and Gage are no longer at the forefront. Dan and Gage, for folks, the founders and the key developer for StreamYard. How are you feeling? You're all right with the big company coming in, right? Because first it was Hoppin, right? Because first it was First it was just Dan
Ring
and Gage.
Central, Hoppin, and then
right,
yeah,
a whole lot of movement in really a short period of time, right? So the Hoppin thing and now Bending Spoons. Are they going to keep the community live streams that Dan and Gage used to do on every weekend?
Every
were
Sunday
so
night.
valuable every Sunday, right? Even I, as an eCammer, right? Because I started with StreamYard. And I had conversations with Dan and Gage, told them a couple of times when the baby was ugly. But again, so always still advocating for a quality product. And they do have a quality product.
Yeah.
Does its job. How you feel about now they're part of this much larger organization and it less direct access to a Dan and a Gage? Don't get yourself in trouble with an answer here now. I don't.
Listen. We talked about this earlier. I don't climb into bed with any of these companies. So I can speak freely about all of this stuff. I actually, James, feel a little bit more for the people that I know and like there. I'm not saying anybody's lost their job. Some people have already that we know of, and so my heart goes out to people that are they haven't lost their lives here, so and listen, I've lost jobs before too, so it's like good people will end up somewhere and flourish. I believe that. But listen, Bending Spoons has Evernote. I'm trying to think of the other streaming platform that they have besides StreamYard that does something else completely. There's new people that have announced themselves as being heads of the community there. So I don't know. I don't think I'm optimistic or pessimistic as far as what I think about what will happen, to the company. And today I spoke to somebody at the company, and they're doing just fine. And they're traveling to somewhere for business. They've always been with them. I haven't always been with the company, but have been there for years and continue to be. So I don't know, but I think as far as anyone who is, using that platform or using eCamm or using, any other you platform, I think you just have to be diverse or at least know enough to be dangerous about other platforms so that you don't, when something like this, we just talked about AWS going down and people freaking out and, losing millions of dollars. Well, if you're a creator and you have really gotten really good at using StreamYard and you haven't used any other streaming platform at all and don't know how to do it, and an important part of your business is that, and eCamm, same way, you just have to.
Same way. That's why I'm using Restream right now too, right? So contingency planning, just in case.
And not just for what happens if the rug gets pulled out. What happens if you end up making your show better because you understand how to use these other pieces of software? What happens if and so my business, I have to know all of these different pieces of software. And so if I have 4 shows that I do that are on StreamYard and 2 that are on eCamm, I understand how all of those work. and I can port those over. It's just a matter of, okay, I'm going to have to take time to, figure
Mm-hmm.
out the whole process and the graphics and the setup and all of that stuff for all of the shows. But, again, I think it just goes back to, boy, I'm sure glad I don't work for, I have a job and work for a company anymore. Then I can sit back and go back to the land that isn't made of sand.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I think you got to make sure that you diversify, man. Diversification is so key in every aspect. Learning how to do multiple things as it relates to content creation. Don't just get locked into one kind of thing. Not just because of the rug getting pulled out, but like, hey, this thing might be better, less
yeah,
expensive,
yeah.
or
That's exactly
cuts into your
where I
time.
was starting kind of the conversation tonight, right? About multiple tools that do similar types of capabilities. We're talking about editing specifically for podcasts, and the Claudes, the Alludos, the Descripts do similar
Mm,
functionality. So
yeah,
learn all of them. Heck, get the free trial, or get the 30 days, or whatever. Understand which one works good for you, and once you have that knowledge of two of the three, share that with somebody else. Or
there it
again,
is.
should one of those platforms go down and has issues, then you at least have in your back pocket, how to do something in Riverside or Descript or whomever else that's out there. Stephanie, we'll see. Appreciate you for joining. Our friend uh, Yolanda is saying, agreed. I use StreamYard, but I am learning eCamm. Welcome to the eCamm fam. There is
There
certainly
we
a learning.
go.
There is a learning. I liken eCamm when I first learned it to Adobe
Hmm.
layering.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where it is right there. It's the whole Photoshop. Once I got that concept in my head about layering scenes and overlays and making that happen, it was then like the back of my hand. That was the whole concept, because I stayed with StreamYard a little bit longer than I would. I had eCamm, but I stayed with StreamYard just because I didn't feel like reading the manual. because I just bought it,
Yeah.
downloaded, installed it, and didn't want to take the time. Right? Who's got time to read manuals? But
Nah,
uh,
yeah, I don't like it either.
but so Yolanda, once you figure that out,
Yeah.
and again, welcome to the eCamm fam. This is a good place to
Yeah.
be. But once you get that concept in your mind about the layering and just the flexibility that you have, you're gonna have a good time. Make sure you stay active in the Discord and the Facebook group for eCamm as well, because a lot of us are in there just helping, right? Really making sure that folks are successful, especially new folks coming in.
I really recommend getting a Stream Deck if you don't have it already as well. I mean, that's when I really was like, okay, I can't just keep going up to this thing and clicking on these little arrows. Like I need process. I need to be able to go, I'm clicking to this scene, I'm clicking to this scene, I'm
Mm-hmm.
clicking to this scene, or set up a scene. I like to have, shows all set up on my Stream Deck. If you need to move things around a little bit during the show, you could totally do that. But the Stream Deck, that's really when I is pouring gas on the fire for me for is like, oh wow, I can just slide this over onto my Stream Deck and boom, I'm hitting these layers that always got to lock your layers too, man. Oh man,
Lock
today
your
I was putting
layers, lock
together
your
a
scenes. That's
presentation.
true.
Man, I was like, oh
Oops.
man, that drives me
Oops.
nuts.
Yeah, am I locked down here? Yeah, everything's locked here. Making sure. Which Stream Deck are you using? Of course, I got a couple
Oh, it's
here, but
a
which one are you
that's
rocking
an
with?
XL, dude. Yeah,
Oh,
it's an
oh,
XL.
XL. Okay. So I
Yeah,
got an
man. I need
XL
I
and I
need
got a
more, a lot of
Plus.
buttons.
See, I got the Plus because it has the dials, and I can control my
Oh,
prompter
yeah.
with the dials. So the brightness on the dial. So that's the reason why I got.
Oh,
Yeah. See,
okay.
get
Okay.
the
Well,
Plus.
I don't have me an Elgato prompter, so
Oh,
maybe one day I can grow up and be James Hicks and
well,
get one of those.
I know a guy. I know a guy
Well,
who's
I
got
got
another one in the closet. Hmm.
I've got the one I've got is
Hmm.
fine. It's
Okay.
it's the Glide Gear TMP, and I've got a little iPad with it, and I like it, and it makes the words big for old people like me, and so I'm good with it. It's funny, a lot of people use that Elgato prompter, and you'll see them and they've got that cloud thing going on, right? Where it's like they have the brightness too bright, and it's like, somebody got a new Elgato prompter and hasn't figured out the brightness yet. I saw like 10 people first week it came out.
Mine is down at 20%, right? Because of that. I'm like, oh, man, I wait
like,
too much.
They were floating in clouds, or they just got done like vaping or something in there. It was like, what's going on?
There it is, right? We can see all behind that, right? Oh yeah, you just got a new Elgato prompter.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird like that. And so we were talking about StreamYard earlier, and so this is the other thing that I notice, and maybe it's just because we're in it, right? But you can tell when somebody has a StreamYard stream up and they haven't done anything but use like sort of the stock. Right? Am I right?
I'm laughing because I saw one of his streams again today, and it irks me. I don't want to say nothing. Keep going. Okay, I'll probably chime in.
No. It's but listen, I've got a number of the shows that I produce are my clients that are on StreamYard, and so there's something nice about being able to just fire up and do a quick banner and have it, built up or whatever, but there's only so much functionality you can do with it. You have like 3 different settings, and I know what it looks like, right? And then we're seeing this ticker down here, and then I saw it. I texted you. I was like, "Are you using the Uno overlays?" You're like, "Yes, sir. I'm using those Uno overlays."
Okay. So Stephanie's over here. I thought you were going. See, she's still
Steph,
here.
hang out. Come on, let's do it.
Back.
Let's do a new Stephanie Garcia book reading.
She could have.
I'm sorry, I don't have a book to read.
Oh, I want a signed copy.
It's not out yet. I think it's coming.
Yeah, I want a sign. All right, I'll say it. So CNBC, John Fort, great journalist, interviews all the CEOs around earnings time, especially in the technology sector. Love his stuff. Love Fort Knox's podcast and everything.
He's got a duck right up here in the corner. Is that what you're saying?
Right. You can tell, and he doesn't have he might as well. Okay. But every time he starts to stream with someone, and I know you watch it too. You know he does the punch in, does the swap, and he does the makes himself smaller, and that is so janky. That is. I'm sorry.
Especially now, because you can make your own size scenes.
Yeah, I wish I knew the man's direct phone number that I can call. Hey, dude, I can make you some overlays in an instant. But I can tell just that extra amateur look to how he starts that first production introduction, blowing up the scene, swapping the web overlays, and then making himself smaller. I know it's StreamYard because it is StreamYard, but it's an old school implementation, and it takes away from for me, it takes away from the credibility of the conversation. And then as it goes on, no one else sees it, right? Except for me.
There's a fraction of us. There's a fraction of us that see it.
The producers, the directors, the folks that are creators as well, the ones who know, oh, that's Restream, oh, that's eCamm, oh, that's StreamYard, or that's BeLive, whatever. Oh, we know what we know, and you could just 2% better.
It's exactly, but so James, this is what makes you and me is like, if you want what most people are serving up, then cool, that's good enough for you, but it's not good enough for us. It's not. Man.
It's not, brother.
It's not. So I'm consistently curious about it.
I'll just have the audio track of me saying his name. You don't have to say. I don't want you to say his name because I want you to continue to stay on people's good graces. So yeah, I said his name.
I'm on everybody's bad graces, so I'm good. No, but I mean, it's like that's the kind of stuff we notice and we go, okay, this would be great if this. And unfortunately, it's kind of a sickness, right? It's kind of like, why can't we just enjoy the show, right? Why can't, and I think we can, but for the most part, like, we're watching the Pat McAfee show and we're going, I probably wouldn't have centered that person that way. And I probably wouldn't have this janky audio coming in like this with all this echo on it. And I probably would have a little echo cancellation on here. And I probably, that's what's going through my head. Meanwhile, they're interviewing the head coach of the Detroit Lions, and I'm kind of listening to him, but I'm kind of going, why can't they get him off of this janky microphone? But it's a sickness, man.
We're perfectionists at heart. Stephanie says we're the Cringe cast. Throwing shade. Throwing shade at you, man. Well, probably throwing it at me because
no. I think she's I think she meant well. Like
no,
we were describing. No, she didn't mean well. Was that?
I'm gonna keep giving her a hard time as well until I get a signed copy of the book. So regardless on that, and I got the link. So folks, I'll make sure to put the link in the description. Dr. Stone, I wanted to be cognizant of your time again.
Man. You got dinner.
I got dinner, and my wife is waiting. I think she's standing at the door. I hear some knocks going on, and maybe the dog, and maybe her. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing my wife's a dog. I'm just saying there's a lot of. Let me clear this up. There's a lot of activity happening on the outside of this door. She says I was making fun of the StreamYard show. Okay, Dan Campbell is doing an amazing job with. See how the Ravens right
Yolana's my girl right there.
You see what I'm saying? That's how she's trying to make nice now. Ravens over there trying to make nice.
No, it's true though. With the Lions, like everybody now is coming out of the closet. Like this last season, like they make the NFC Championship, and everybody's a Lions fan. Oh man, I love your coat. They see me with my Lions gear on, which I've been wearing since 1974. And everybody's looking at my Lions gear and they're going, oh man, I love your team. I love your team. I was like, yeah, where were you when Barry Sanders didn't have an offensive line?
Where were you when Megatron was out there putting his body?
Yeah,
okay, right?
Exactly. He had to retire early, and now is popping CBD gummies to just kind of so he can walk. But
that's what he's doing, though. No, literally, that's what he's doing. Gone before his time, man.
Yeah, I mean, so it's everybody's loving the Lions. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, listen.
No,
you go eat. You go eat, man. No. You go eat. Thank you for allowing me on your show once again.
Anytime. Again, you've got keys to the front door. You can come in anytime. To recap where we started, where we ended up, who knows, right? Because we lost all GPS tracking for this session. But started talking about fixing challenges in workflow, utilizing AI, understanding the technology. And I wanted to have 3 topics: editing, transcription, and audience engagement. Started talking about editing tools. So I will put links to those as well. Dr. Stone came in and just blessed us with some gems as always, and appreciate that.
Whenever I felt that heat about Descript, that the Descript hatred started coming through, right? I was like, I was tweaking out. I was like, man, what's happening right now? There's a disturbance in the force.
I'm gonna call my folks at Descript and like apologize. Say, listen, I was on one. I was on one tonight, so don't be mad at me. Don't be mad. I'm coming back to my pro. See, I even said you got to go with pro, not creator. Go ahead and spend that extra money.
You did.
And if you're an eCamm fan, I believe you can actually get a discount on Descript for, what is it, a month free or something like that? I can't remember what it was in the eCamm perks. So Yolanda, you're new to the eCamm fan. Make sure you know where the perks are so you can get your discounts. And if you went to Leap, you saw Stephanie celebrate her 5th year of Leap into Live. Just happened last week, and they had a ton of amazing presenters. I'm trying to save face here is what I'm doing, right? I'm trying to close out saving face with everyone. Hopefully you got some value. I know when Chris Stone came on, there was value. If you did, let me know. If you did not, still let me know. We're gonna do this. We still gonna do this. All right, Saturday morning, Stephanie, 10:30 a.m. morning Pacific time. Technologist Forum, Code and Commentary every 2 weeks, Thursday night, 5:30 p.m. I'll make sure my guests show up next time. All right. Chris, be good to yourself, brother.
You too, man. Thank you.
Out.